And we're recording. Say hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 4, 5? Which episode is this? Hello? Can you guys hear me? I think I was on push to talk.
Probably.
Because I was speaking to you guys for a moment, then you didn't reply, and they heard Eliza singing about coconuts. Hi! We're on episode 4 or 5, I forget. I think this is episode 4?
5.
Right, we're on episode 5. And this is a very special episode, because the person I'm ripping off is here.
Wait, you're ripping off me?
Yeah, we're ripping off the Disney debate.
No, not the Disney.
Oh.
No, not the Disney.
Oh,
no,
hi everybody.
No, not the Disney debate. I don't watch Sen's Disney debate. That would be silly. I'm ripping Sen off because this is a series that I got the part of my idea from comes from a series Sen used to do called Diving into DuckTales.
Oh yes, diving into DuckTales. We went through every single episode of DuckTales. It was fun.
Because DuckTales, the DuckTales reboot is the second greatest show ever made, slightly behind Scooby-Doo.
Well, yeah, I didn't know this was what you were ripping off, but I'm glad to be a part of it. It's a lot of fun, and I got to see some really cool Scooby-Doo stuff. Today, I got to see some of my favorite Scooby-Doo episodes, so I'm happy.
Indeed, we have 4 episodes today instead of our normal 3, because someone was an idiot and messed up the numbering. Last week. No names.
So it was me, okay.
I'll happily shift the blame of my stupidity onto you.
I'm a dumb bunny. I'll take the blame.
So yeah.
I love you both.
For those that don't know, this is Sen from the Bun Squad, one of Eliza's many girls who I'm pretty sure Sen has the better Pokeball than me. Eliza just used the basic bitch Pokeball on me. I'm pretty sure Sen has the luxury ball.
I don't catch my girlfriends in Pokeballs.
Yeah, she caught me in a love ball. That should tell you something.
Whoops, actually just pulled out my set. And of course, Necro is here to be the voice of reason.
Since when?
Since you were dumb enough to hang out with a group of trans girls with many hyperfixations.
Look, Eliza doesn't like trains. That's her least favorite thing to like.
Trains are great.
So yeah, let's get on with the episodes before ADHD takes over.
Don't worry, I took my medicine today.
I don't have medicine for ADHD. I should look into seeing if I have ADHD. But yeah, we are here with the first episode, a bona fide classic. Like, there are people out there to this day who still think this is the pilot episode of Scooby-Doo. Like with Eliza in the Creeper episode, they're wrong, but I can see why. The episode we're covering is Which Witch is Which? An episode title so nice Scooby-Doo has used it at least 3 times.
Yeah.
People just love alliteration. I think that's a little 3W
What is
word.
alliteration? Yes.
I don't know English.
But aren't you English?
Doesn't mean I know it. But yeah, this is a classic episode. But there's something we need to talk about this episode before we get into the covering of, events of the episode. I don't know about my co-host, but my personal favourite season and holiday time is Fall/Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Yep.
Necro? You're a fan of the Fall/Halloween season?
Oh yeah, mostly because the weather's just nicer.
Okay.
I love the spooky season.
Which means we all grew up and were inundated by the classic witch design, which we will be seeing in this episode. There's an issue with the witch design, the classic witch design. the history of the classic witch design, the bucked nose, the pale olive skin, the pointy hat, the roots are from a very not kosher place, to put it gently.
Yeah, there's some history to that, but because it's become less associated with that over the years, I don't say we count it as a full-on racism. It's just that was a racism.
And again, we all loved the Halloween season. We all loved our spooky green witches. And it didn't, we were surrounded by a ton of anti-Semitism without even knowing it. And this is covered a lot. One of my favorite Scooby-Doo channels, Scoobytopia, has an entire video on this subject. If you want more in-depth history on this subject, I recommend going and watching their Scooby-Doo Witchcraft episode. Honestly, a lot of the time, if we don't go into great detail about a subject, a lot of the time, if you go over to Scoobytopia, they probably have a more in-depth look into the history of Scooby-Doo. Yes, I will keep marketing one of my favorite channels, because they deserve it, because they're awesome. And fuck their haters. Fuck their homophobic haters. But we'll get into the episode. And the episode starts with the gang actually for once telling us what they were doing. A lot of the time, they're just driving and we don't get no context. But we actually get context this episode. The thing Necro's been asking for since episode 1.
They were fishing.
We actually get context about what the gang was doing in this episode. Something you've been asking for since episode 1. The gang was out fishing this episode, and that's why. And why are they in a spooky swamp? Like any man, Fred refused to ask for directions, and he said he knew about a shortcut.
Look, the shortcut brought them to a place where a mystery was happening. It just, I think that Fred has super luck powers for finding mystery.
But you think I have super luck powers?
You do!
Here's the thing. I accept for this Fred, it was an honest mistake. There are later versions of Fred that he 100% knew about the mystery in advance and purposely took the gang here while saying it was a shortcut just to get them entangled. Because there are later versions of Freds that would do that. Mostly the Be Cool version.
I will say that if you look at the background painting, the background design in this episode, and pay attention to the types of trees, the type of swamp, and the wildlife you see in this episode, we actually kind of get a good idea of where they are in this episode, which is somewhere in the American South.
With an even bigger clue later, but we'll get to that. But they stopped. Finally, they stopped to ask for directions with a nice man with a lantern, and they. Necro, what was your issue with this moment? When they meet the zombie.
Oh yeah, right, I remember now. Yeah, okay, as far as they knew, he wasn't he wasn't that weird. Like, there's other characters with green skin in this show.
But he was also bold.
Just really look at that. Just some dude showing by the side of the road as far as they're aware.
And he's also moaning as if in pain.
Look.
Yeah, good. Like, if anything, he should go to the hospital.
Someone who was mute, someone who was eating something. He could have been a traveling circus act. He could have been just anything, and they just assume zombie.
He could have eaten El Pollo Loco and just been looking for the nearest hospital.
But they drive away screaming from the zombie, and they stop by a nearby store where they meet up with a local man called Seek, who explains that him and his partner, what's the name of his partner? Seb, went frog fishing, and they stumbled upon a witch summoning the zombie. He doesn't say what type of partner they are, so I'm just going to assume gay life partner.
I mean, yeah, why not?
And we see the witch summon the zombie. And the witch is voiced by Don Messick, doing a really good classic hag voice. Because who needs a female actress when you can just get Don Messick? That
Look. It's a guy playing a girl in the episode. We want to be authentic.
Yeah.
Again, it's just the fact. It's just that. I'm sorry, Don Messick was a goddamn talent.
Yes.
Don Messick died too soon. And by that I mean at the age of 71. He was far too young. Yeah. So yeah. The gang do what the gang does best after being told to leave.
Metal.
Break an entry.
Well, no break and entry this time, but they do. Technically, it's wouldn't it be trespassing?
Yeah, the door was unlocked, so they didn't break and enter. They just trespassed.
I mean, there are signs saying "Do not enter," but I mean, hey, look, they're meddling kids. They found a witch. They want to see what's going on.
And the signs were put up by the witch. I don't think she has a claim to the land. So the gang split up. Scooby and Shaggy go to Seek's house while Daphne, Thelma, and Fred go and do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall what they actually do.
The Shaggy and Scooby went to Zeb's house while, what did Velma? I don't remember.
Look, what's important
They
is
were invested to the other house.
Yes.
what's important is Scooby makes out with a chipmunk. I think that was a chipmunk. I'm not sure what animal that was.
It was a chipmunk, although they gave it cat ears for some reason. I'm gonna assume it's a Pokemon of some kind.
Because they're in the house, they find a voodoo doll. Which, we're not going to go too deep into this, as much as Eliza wants to do a 20-minute rant.
I can't do the rant every episode.
Yeah, and we discussed this beforehand. Basically, voodoo has been lumped in with magic practices for years, just because of the Puritan system of any magic is witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It is racism, but it also isn't, and we're not going to delve too deep into that.
Yeah. And when it comes to the ideology and the honestly issue of cultural appropriation of voodoo, there's a much worse Scooby-Doo episode that happens later on.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah,
You'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Yeah. We'll drag Sen back so she can talk about the voodoo racism.
Okay.
But yeah. Well, they throw out the term voodoo, but it's honestly more just generic witchcraft.
Like, the only thing that is supposedly voodoo is the voodoo dolls, but as we all know, witchcraft using sympathetic magic on a totem, an item, is based on regular witchcraft. So,
And there's also the zombie, but this is the traditional undead zombie where voodoo zombies are more locking a person so inside their own body to control them.
Which is mostly just done by, putting a person into a state using
Drugs.
I think it's tetrotoxin, which I think it's tetrotoxin, which is the toxin from blowfish.
Yes, it's a homie.
I forget which toxin is inside of blowfish. It's some sort of super toxin.
So yeah, Shaggy and Scooby are in Seb's house. They find a voodoo doll of him. Scooby kisses a chipmunk, and when he runs outside, kisses the chipmunk because they think the chipmunk's a monster. When Scooby kisses the chipmunk because he's relieved to see the chipmunk isn't a scary monster. But as he runs back into the house, the zombie shuts the door on them with a really good horror shot. I remember now what Fred, Daphne, and Thelma were on a boat where they do go by some warning signs that were really, really effective at being ignored by the gang.
Okay,
Well,
speaking of
yeah, but
shots,
they don't go on the boat until they join back up with Shaggy and Scooby, so I don't know what they're doing before they get on the boat.
Yeah,
speaking of shots, in this episode, the backgrounds are really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and those are some good signs. Those are some really awesome
And
signs.
all the background for this episode, and this episode also, they used. We haven't spoken about him yet, although we probably should have ages ago. But the person behind majority of the music of this era is a man called Ted Nichols, and his scores has always been great, but they use it so well in this episode.
Yes.
I'm someone who tunes out music most of the time, but it was even my dimmed audio fixation. Well, it's like no, they use the audio so well here. But yeah, the gang meet up. We're not sure what the other three were doing while the boys checked out Seb's house, but I guess they were looking for a boat. I assume that was what they were doing.
Probably. But when they get to the witch's house, I need to talk about something in a second.
Yeah, but first, they get to the witch's house after ignoring her warning signs, and they find the house all creepy, and they find voodoo dolls of themselves, and Scooby stabs Shaggy's doll in the butt, causing Shaggy to yelp in pain because he backed up onto a fork at conveniently the same time, which was a good little gag.
Yes.
While we were watching these 4 episodes, I kept hearing Sem pretty much gasping for air with how much she was laughing.
There were some fun gags in these episodes. I really like when people try to make something like, oh, it's a voodoo doll, it's gonna work, and actually no, it's something else. And they do a good job with it this episode, especially when oh, we're chased by the witch, we're chased by the zombie, we're chased by this, where are we gonna go? And we're riding the broom.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But now we get to the first appearance. We had the witch in the flashback, but now it's her first appearance in modern day. And she tells the gang they're in danger because they ignore her warning sign. And we probably get the best personality Daphne has had in a while. Because, as we've said a few times now, in the early seasons, the character with the least personality, sadly, is Daphne.
Mm-hmm.
But her sass in this episode was on point. The witch is like, you dare enter the swamp despite my signs. Daphne just puts her hands on her hip and says to her, well, you don't believe everything you read. Which, I don't know why that line read was so great by her actress.
Yeah.
And then the witch disappears Daphne for being a sassy bitch. Personally, I think the witch is just annoyed she couldn't think of a good comeback, so she just made her disappear. When the witch friends her, says to the rest of the gang, go away now, she also disappears, and they check where Daphne was standing, and they see she was on a mat, which now has her footprints / squid tails, and they check the basement and confirm, yes, Daphne didn't magically disappear, she just fell through a trapdoor.
And I need to talk about this because if you look at the trapdoor, the way it turns, her feet should have been dragged in a different direction because it tilts to the side. But if they wanted to have the feet dragged backwards, they should have the trapdoor fall backwards.
And it's really weird because if it was backwards, the angle which she went backwards, she wouldn't have fallen through the trapdoor. She would have hit herself on the edge.
Yeah, she would have hit her head. So there's no way for this trapdoor to be functional.
Hun, I can explain how it is logically functional. Scooby-Doo went out back and beat physics with a baseball bat until it allowed it to happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which,
well, at least it's not the next episode where they're going to shoot physics.
Yeah. Necro witnessed a homicide of physics next episode. Didn't you, Necro? Necro? Necro is sleepy, so if he doesn't reply, he has been a busy man the past week. But he's still being here as a trooper. Necro.
Necro.
You hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry,
yeah.
No,
Well, we explained to the audience that you're sleepy and, you've been busy. But we were just saying,
yeah,
we were talking
I
about,
don't know why.
we were talking about the trapdoor and the non-physics, and we said, unlike the murder of physics that is next episode, which you have stuff to say about, when we get to the anti-physics of the ghost episode, of the ghost pirate episode.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Several other things to say about that.
Well, but in this,
I think it's funny.
but in this episode, back to this episode, they find footprints, which, despite what we see later, it implies Daphne just walked off. Because they look like her footprints.
They could also be the witch's footprints.
Maybe. But you would think they would have had it, drag marks to indicate they dragged Daphne away, but maybe they, princess carried her or something.
Yeah.
It's just weird that there was only one set. But the footprints lead them to the next reason why Eliza was sure this takes place in the American South. They found a derelict steamship.
Specifically a Mississippi-style steamboat. Ones that are on the Mississippi River. Or the Missouri River. They could be on either river, but still, it's a southern-style steamboat, usually seen in the turn of the last century, from the 1800s to the 1900s.
Usually.
Now,
sorry, go on, hon.
Now, my great-grandmother's great-uncle wrote about these before because he worked on them. It's where he got his pen name. Mark Twain.
Who will also be coming up in a later Scooby-Doo episode. But yeah, the issue is, in the Scooby-Doo universe, all of the United States use steamboats, not just the South. That is canon, with stuff we see later. But while heading into the steamboat, they notice there's a rowboat that the witch and the zombie's been using that has a metal tip on it. Velma, being the lesbian, has no clue what the tip is for.
Here we get more evidence that Velma is a lesbian in just a few seconds.
Yeah. Yep.
Have we missed anything, Nico? Anything that you noticed? Necro is spaced out again. Head pats to Necro.
Sometimes I can still hear his voice.
Screaming. Yeah. So they, of course, they do what they do there, and we have a bit of meta commentary from Shaggy here. Because Shaggy points out something. Hun, do you remember what Shaggy points out next?
I think.
Why does he always end up with the scaredy dog? When they split up.
Alright, yeah. Shaggy is rather mean to Scooby in this episode.
At the same time, they always rib each other. It just
Yeah,
a
but
little bit meaner than normal.
He pulls Scooby's ears, and that bothers
Well,
me.
he doesn't pull them, he just holds them so they stop slamming into each other.
Then again, we also get the really awesome gag of them like sneaking in the zombie's shadow behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also get the first time for them to dress up. Yes, it's their first costumes.
But before that, though, to defend Shaggy, this is the first time, not the first time Daphne's been kidnapped. Like, we've seen that kind of stuff happen multiple times before. But those times, she normally gets kidnapped while other stuff is happening around. This is the first proper time where it was just a flat-out, no, our friend has been taken right in front of us moment.
Yeah.
So Shaggy is probably a bit more on edge than normal, which could explain his fighting behaviour. Because while the gang do love to rib and snipe at each other, they are really good friends.
Yeah.
Who are all probably dating Fred.
They're all in a polycule, I'm convinced. As, you haven't gone to yet, but there's a moment coming up where something very lesbian happens.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get to that now because, again, because the whole dress-up thing with Scooby doesn't happen until after the lesbianism. Necro.
I'll be honest, describing it as just is kind of an understatement.
Necro, Necro, do you want to explain the lesbianism scene? Since you've been quiet.
I'll be honest, I think it's best for lesbians to explain the lesbian scene.
Let me describe it.
What? But Necro, you're meant to be here to mansplain to us. We thought that was your job.
Yeah, to you. You fucking explain shit to me. What the hell are you on about?
So, anyways, they come across something in a bundle, and they hear.
Velma thinks it's a ghost to begin with.
Yes, no one thinks it's a ghost, and Fred's like, "Oh, please!" And then Velma hears muffled sounds that, sound like somebody who has something pressed up against their lips.
And it's like that. Sounds like Daphne, and it's like, well, we know what you've been up to in your spare time.
Like, there is no straight explanation for how you know what your friend sounds like when their mouth is covered up.
Unless you've been kissing them or, like, experimenting, which is totally valid in the 60s.
Yeah, and it is a known... Again, this is a known fact. Ignore the age of the characters here, because most of the people that awakened to this did it when they were younger. But yeah, this episode with this moment with Daphne tied up like this was awakening for many men and women's fascination with a particular king of damsel in distress and bondage. I know many people that genuinely were like, yeah, I got into this lifestyle because of this episode of Scooby-Doo. Didn't think that would be something we'd have to discuss when talking about Scooby-Doo, but here we are.
I mean, it's not the weirdest thing I've heard. When we were diving into DuckTales, we had to talk about the cult of Gadget.
Oh, the cult of Gadget Hacker, yes, I know that cult.
That's a real thing.
I have a friend who's a member of that.
I don't know that.
It's so weird.
Yeah, but yeah. And then the rest of the episode is, the next big parts of the episode is a lot of classic Scooby-Doo chicanery. A lot of bits, like the shadow bit, as Sen said, where Shaggy sees he has a bold shadow, and then a second shadow.
And we also get several first appearances of things in Scooby-Doo that become recurring gags. First, we see the first quick costume change of Scooby and Shaggy.
But
then we see
with this quick costume, it doesn't. And we also see it again later, with another quick costume change they have later, that it doesn't actually work. Normally they're able to do the whole, control the monster and get the monster to do something dumb. In this, and in Space Cook, that doesn't actually work. Their costume bit doesn't actually work on the monster.
And then shortly after, almost not just a few seconds after that, they do the first time where Shaggy dresses in drag.
It's soft drag.
It's a recurring thing.
It's soft drag in this episode, but it's still drag.
And then we also get the first appearance of Scooby using Scooby snacks as a power-up.
Pretty much, it's been low key. The snacks have mostly been bribing tools so far. I mean, not as good a bribing tool as the best bribing tool, the Shaggy snack.
But we literally see Scooby unable to do something, then given a Scooby snack, and then able to do that thing in this episode.
It's not Popeye's level of stupidity yet, but it's interesting to see, yeah, if you can have Scooby focus, he can do incredible stuff. Like slap a zombie away.
Yeah.
Which doesn't look like a zombie, but, he was counting.
Then we get probably one of my favorite things where where Shaggy and Scooby open up a chest, and they're like, "Hey, there's shoes in here. Hey, look who they're connected to," and the zombie just sits up.
Yeah.
And then, in drag, Shaggy gets a great idea. Hey, there's a witch's broom over there. Clearly, we can fly it, right? And Shaggy and the Witch does the classic game of I don't know. I know the game they do has a term, but I don't remember it fully.
It's like get your hand to the top of the object to win it.
There's a proper term for that, but yeah, it's where you put one hand, then the next, and then the next, and whoever hand is at the top wins. So Shaggy wins the broom and runs away. Sadly, it was not a magic broom; it was just a normal broom. So he and Scooby crash into a motorized boat. And the gang see Shaggy and believe he is the witch who has captured Scooby. And they do what all teenagers do when someone threatens their dog.
Jojo stops them.
They beat the shit out of him. It's real. It's like one of the funniest moments. It's just like, guys, you can't see that it's your friend in drag.
My question is, It does bring up the point. Why don't they just do this sooner to all the monsters? Seriously, so every episode of Scooby-Doo would be 5 minutes long if the gang just decided, no, we're going to JoJo stomp the monster within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Honestly, it feels the kind of thing like Necro would do. If he was in the Scooby gang. He would just say to them, why don't we just kick the shit out of them? Necro, is that what you would do if you were the gang's leader?
Sorry, yeah.
Necro, if you were the gang's leader, would you have them do what they do to Shaggy in this episode a lot sooner? Where Freddy, Daphne, and Thelma just beat the shit out of Shaggy when they think he's the witch. If you were the gang's leader, would you be telling them to do that to the monsters more often? Just say, okay, gang, we're gonna curb stomp them. Necro? Alyssa?
Yeah.
Oh, you are here, so it's just Necro. Being spaced out. Necro?
A little busy at the moment, sorry.
Hey. Sorry, we didn't hear that. We were just speaking to you about something and there was no reply, so we wasn't sure if something had happened. But we're just saying, know the moment in the episode where they curb stomped the witch, curb stomped Shaggy thinking he's the witch? If you were the gang's leader, would you tell them to do that to the monster more often?
I said I'm busy at the moment, but let me just move on.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, the gang find out they're in a motorized boat, and they decide, let's use this to get out of the swamp. But as they're driving along, they see the witch blocking the way. But it's not the witch, it's just a balloon painted up like the witch. And they do a really creepy animation where they stretch the balloon and it makes the balloon face. I don't know why, it just was very off-putting to me when they stretched that balloon. Does anyone else have put by it?
You know, when you look at the still of that, it kind of looks like Squidward.
Yeah.
Don't you agree, son?
That's creepy as all hell.
But doesn't it kind of look like Squidward?
A bit, but like the thing is, it's not bald enough. Like the witch does have hair in the show, so like it does look maybe a bit like handsome Squidward.
Yeah. But yeah. But then Fred tries to stop the boat and realizes, I can't stop the boat. The boat has no
The
brakes.
brakes are broken.
So Scooby just materializes an anchor and throws it into the swamp.
And they hit something very, very solid.
And they pull up an armored truck with money in it. Roughly, I think they say 10 million.
Yeah.
Which, how much is that in today's money?
Let me do calculations. From 69,
Time for Lysa to do
Nice.
maths.
and this was around this time, to this time, this year. Okay, that would be about $100 million nowadays.
That's a lot of money.
And I bet the gang stole at least one of those bags. I know I would.
I'm not going to say whether I would or not.
For legal reasons, I'm not going to say anything.
Same.
I'm just saying the criminals were kind of dumb for what they actually did.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so the gang put up their plan into action. They have Scooby and Shaggy hide in bags and lead them into a trap. And it's a rather simple trap. They bend a tree branch, and when the zombie and the witch stand in place, they let go. and send them flying into the back of the armored truck. The issue is, when they get told to duck, Scooby gets his bag trapped on a route and cannot move.
But they're fished out at the last second because they were supposed to go there on a fishing trip, which it all comes back around.
Yeah.
This episode has a great setup and payoff.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially since we see at the beginning of the episode Scooby fishing in a bucket. Yeah.
And he finally catches a fish in that bucket.
Yeah, logic. But yeah, we capture the ghost, the witch, and the zombie, and we unmask them to reveal Seek and Seb, because those were the only two characters in the entire episode. That's the well. This is a great episode, mystery-wise. It's one of the weaker.
You can probably guess it, and I think one of.
Well, there's no guessing it because there's literally no subject. There's no other.
Yeah, there's no other characters, but like, it has a weak monster. Like the witch is fine, but the zombie, I'm sorry, it's like you take the creeper design and you give it a moan. It's kind of lazy.
And how this isn't the only time they're going to use this particular zombie design. I think there's at least 2 other times they use this exact zombie design.
Yeah, and it's just like, I like the witch. I like the episode. I think the gags are overall fun. But when you really do break down like the reason why, like, yeah, it makes sense, but
yeah,
there are only 2 characters in the episode besides the sheriff, and he shows up at the very end.
Yep. And the sheriff in this episode is the one from the pilot episode, which is a neat bit of continuity Scooby-Doo rarely ever has, especially early on. Like, we don't get a Bronson Stone style police character in Scooby-Doo until Mystery Incorporated.
Yep. Although we never get an episode name for the sheriff in this episode or the pilot episode. A comic did reference his name as Don, although that could have been because of who the voice actor for the character for the sheriff is.
Don Messick.
Okay. Don Messick.
Because Don Messick does 99.9% of the goddamn characters.
Yeah, like Scooby-Doo is basically like Don Messick and a few other people.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, it's why I didn't really even go into the casting, the voice cast for this episode like I normally do, because the voice cast is literally Don Messick, Casey Kasem, Frank Wilker, Nicole Jeffy, Stephanie Kressler, and John Steffen, aka the
main cast.
The main cast plus John Steffen, who it's John Steffen. He's also in pretty much every episode.
Yeah.
And as the villains. So yeah, but overall, we find out that about 10 years ago, Seek and Seb stole an armored car, dumped it in the swamp, but couldn't find it again. So they've been living here, digging through the swamp. Seriously, how pissed though must these two be? They've been in this town, scaring people away for like 10 years. Then these dumbass kids come into the swamp, and within like an afternoon, they dig up the thing they've been spending 10 years to look for.
By accident, while they're trying to get away.
Although, you have to admit, Don Messick does a great job as the witch when he goes, money, money, money.
Yeah, that was great.
I just find it funny, it's like they see 2 random bags and they don't think, oh, well, we maybe somebody found it or something like that, or like the armored car should be like locked. No, they're just like money. I'm like, you 2 are stupid.
A funny thing, I also know things I like that Powerpuff Girls isn't invented for a long time, but Shaggy literally uses the term sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Yep.
When talking about witches. So what I'm saying is Powerpuff Girls ripped off Scooby-Doo.
Also, there's a brief moment in this episode where Scooby's collar turns to yellow, and I find that hilarious for some reason.
To be fair, that happens all, like, I bet, I don't really mention anything like that when I noticed it, because it's like, animation errors are a dime a dozen in Scooby-Doo.
I know, that one just made me laugh for some reason. That one just made me laugh for some reason.
There was an episode earlier in this season where literally, Fred's neck was entirely goddamn, yellow.
Yeah. But, regardless, under the ranking for this episode, what's your ranking, Will?
I'm giving this a good 4 out of 10. 4 out of 5. Okay, 4 out of 5. Because, the mystery is the weakest element, but characterization, the villain, primarily the witch, less so the zombie, but the witch herself is a really good villain, ignoring the obvious issues of the design.
Yeah.
She's not
also-
to be fair, his design is mostly just
standard
because of what witches looked like in that at the time.
Yeah.
There are better designed witches in Scooby-Doo going forward. Mostly the McCoy witch. I cannot wait to get to the McCoy witch.
I also have to give this a 4 out of 5. I love the episode. It's actually a really iconic one, and it's really fun.
What's your Scooby?
I'd say a 4 too.
And for the
And then what's your rating?
I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, and this is because, while it is a classic episode, I had a lot of fun watching it. I feel like the plan doesn't really make a lot of sense for the criminals. Like, dump our loot in the swamp and then try to find it. I don't know if you've ever been to a swamp, but that's like the worst place to drop money.
I grew up in a swamp.
In an armored car. I think that while I love the witch, the zombie is a little bit weak sauce for starting, opening, and it kind of recycles things. But the humor's on point. I like a lot of this overall, and it just it sets the stage for what's to come. A lot of the firsts for the franchise.
Although, bringing back what Zen said about finding a car that you left in a swamp is hard to do. Yeah, let me tell you a story about that. One time while my stepdad was trying to clear land on our property, he had a bulldozer fall into the swamp. So he got another bulldozer to try to pull that first bulldozer out of the swamp, and then that bulldozer fell into the swamp.
It's like that gag in Monty Python. It's like,
Yeah, like the castle
burn
gag.
down, fell over, then second to the swamp.
So then they called a professional, and then they pulled both the bulldozers out of the swamp.
But
Well,
like,
to be fair, Sen, with the criminals being stupid, I honestly kind of like that Scooby-Doo because it makes a lot of the criminals feel a lot more blue collar. They're not.
I mean,
The gang's not constantly dealing with your Lex Lutherian Stephens. They're just dealing with your basic crooks and criminals who are
I get that.
stupid.
But why not just get a metal detector instead of using a metal thing on a boat?
Because metal detectors at the period did not really work that well on water. But getting a radar system would actually have been a smarter idea.
But
Yeah.
a radar system to get what they needed probably would have cost more than not more than the loot is worth, but they were probably poor because
Yeah.
they weren't exactly. There's a reason they needed the money.
To be fair, fish radar is not that expensive. Would have done the same thing, and those did exist by the late 60s.
That, and I always give it -1 point on anything I review if there's racism involved. I give this a little bit of leeway. It would have been a half, but like you don't do half Scooby snacks, so like you know what I mean.
If you want to be like 3.5, feel free. It's like because I also do want it higher because while I don't say half, I also do say high/low end of the Scooby snack on episodes.
Then I'll give it a 3.5. It's just that racism bit. While it does happen in other Scooby episodes, and it is a great Scooby episode, it does bring it back a little bit.
Yeah. Which, okay, it's almost like one, and with Sen's ranking, you can see almost like one of us is actually a professional critic or something.
Hey, I'm a professional critic too.
I'm not professional. I'm a bunny.
Alright, but now we get to the next episode. One of my personal favourites, Go Away Ghost Ship.
Which is a really good episode, although it's also the episode where physics is taken behind a shed and shot a couple of dozen times.
Even still, this is one of my favorite episodes of Scooby-Doo and has one of my favorite recurring gags in all of Scooby-Doo that keeps coming back. The fog that's so thick you can cut it with a knife, and then they cut it with a knife and Scooby eats it.
Yep.
Well, no, after turning it into a donut.
Yep.
Yeah, well, there's one time where he just uses a knife, and then there's another time where he turns it into a donut and eats it. And it's like, they do this a lot, and I'm just like, every single time it works because it's Scooby-Doo.
And we'll get to more about that joke later on, actually, when talking about this episode.
But
But, like, I
Yeah,
just
it's gonna be actual plot.
like that.
the episode starts with a man on a boat seeing a ghost ship, and he says it, and he outright yells, "It's the ghost of Redbeard." And we get the first of many, many, many times Redbeard laughs. He laughs a lot in this episode. The dude is having fun with his work. That's what we learned.
Look! If you love your work, you never work a day in your life. That's what they say. And if you're a pirate, I mean, that's even better. Ghost pirate, yeah.
And given what we learn about the person under the Red Deer's mask and how stupid he is, I generally don't think this plan was thought through. I genuinely think he just wanted to be a pirate and use this as an excuse. That's my reasoning for his stupidity. But we cut to the classic malt shop, where the gang reads about local tycoon Seacon Magnus having an issue with a ghost pirate attacking his shipping lane. But they wonder how a wonderful man like Magnus would be getting targeted. Don't know how they know about this dude.
Also, calling a rich millionaire capitalist wonderful man.
We can tell when this episode was made.
Yeah. The happiest millionaire. Also on the Disney debate coming up in the 60s. So, you know what I mean.
Yeah. But the gang But honestly, out of all the ways the gang can get involved into a mystery, I actually like this one. They don't stumble into it. They read, someone needs help, and they don't even hesitate. They're like, person needs help, let's go help them.
Let's go offer help.
It paints the gang as very altruistic, and I like that. Again, the gang can be sassy and towards each other, and they're not perfect individuals, because as we saw with Shaggy last episode, they can get mean sometimes, especially when they're stressed. But overall, the gang are, even Shaggy and Scooby with their cowardly nature, overall are altruistic people. I mean, there's a reason that a fan theory is most of Scooby-Doo season 1 and 2 is them traveling the country because they're trying to dodge the draft. Because the gang wouldn't want to go. The gang wouldn't want to go to Vietnam. They would see through the bullshit. That was the propaganda that tried to convince people to go to Vietnam. So yeah, we get a chicanery of they knock on the door and the butler answers. Give me a sec to see if the butler has a name. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, the butler did it. That was my first thought seeing the episode. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the butler did it, because he's a creepy butler.
Yeah, once again, he's also voiced by John Stevenson, who, if you're voiced by John Stevenson in a Scooby-Doo episode, there's a 90% chance you're the villain. Speaking of people voiced by John Stevenson, after they pretend to be room service, after being rejected, they pretend to be room service to sneak in with the best idea in the world. They say it's breakfast at 11 o'clock at night. And what's Shaggy's reasoning?
Because that way you don't have to prepare it in the morning.
Because then you can eat at night and you don't have to get up in the morning to have breakfast. Which, as someone who eats most of their dinner at my breakfast is normally around 6 in the afternoon, and my dinner's normally around 3 in the morning. I get that.
I mean, I have breakfast for dinner a lot too, so I'm not saying I don't think the reasoning is bad. It's just they're not the best maids, and we also see Velma in a maid outfit, and I'm just like,
well, she's not in a maid outfit. She just puts the maid apron and hat over her normal clothes. I don't think we see anyone as a maid until Daphne and Scooby in 13 Ghosts or New Mysteries.
Still, it is a gateway drug to people lusting after Velma, and I approve.
And if this episode came out a few years later, it would have been Scooby and Shaggy in the maid outfit.
Yeah.
I don't know who cross-dresses more, Scooby and Shaggy or Jesse or James from Team Rocket.
Or Bugs Bunny.
The answer to that is yes.
Well, Bugs Bunny doesn't count because they're non-binary.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny's non-binary, gender fluid.
Speaking of, this has nothing to do with Scooby-Doo, but it's an important message. Go watch Coyote vs. Acme. It's amazing, and it proves David Zaslav is a fucking idiot.
Oh, we already knew that.
Which is about as obvious a statement as water is wet.
Or water makes things wet if you're going to be pedantic.
Necro, go watch Acme vs. Coyote. It's great.
Maybe at some point.
But yeah, But they meet Mr. Magnus, who is also voiced by John Stevenson. So either him or the butler did it. We know this by Scooby-Doo logic.
My guess is the butler.
So yeah, and Mr. Magnus explains his family history 300 years ago. I don't know when that would be in this time.
That'd be 1660s.
Would that be around the age of piracy?
Yeah, that'd be around the golden age of piracy, yeah.
Yeah. He explains his family, I assume would be, since that his family captured, I assume it means his family was part of the British, Armada.
Yeah.
Captured Redbeard's ghost, and, Redbeard at the time, and got him to hung, and he promised he would come back and seek vengeance.
Which, honestly, is this is a recurring thing with, like, a lot of the villains in Scooby-Doo. It's like vengeance out of something. It's sometimes that actually is vengeance. So I'm just like, okay, I wasn't entirely sure, but let's see if they are actually ghosts coming back to haunt them, because that does happen.
But given what we learn about this, we can assume this story he tells is a ton of bullshit. With hindsight, we can assume that. But Scooby also does know us, to add to the red herring, the butler listening in on the conversation.
And I have more to say about that when we get to the end.
My theory is the butler genuinely is just that loyal. And he was just making sure the gang wasn't actually going to hurt Magnus. Which makes, again, a part of the ending interesting. But the gang have an amazing plan. They go out into the deep fog with a recorder of a louder ship. So the ghost ship will attack them in the little dinghy instead of the actual transport vessel. I think Rocket Raccoon would have something to say about this plan.
Yeah. This is not a good plan. Barely even a concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very good plan at all because, like, yes, there's fog, you can't see through it, but there's a big boat versus a very small boat. Barbossa, Jack Sparrow, they can see through this plan.
The monkey called Jack would see through this plan. Then that monkey was really smart.
Yeah, don't knock Jack the monkey. He might be a monkey with nothing evil. But he's actually pretty smart.
Hell, he was the first person to realize what Calypso was doing because he was the first person to clock goddamn Barbossa's dead body in the back room.
Yeah.
Jack the monkey is smart. We love Jack here. But yeah, their boat cracks in half, so hopefully they ain't getting their they ain't getting their down payment back on that boat. Hopefully it wasn't a rental.
Hopefully.
And the gang gets split up, and they both enter the ghost ship through different entrances, climbing up on it. And the first people we follow is Scooby and Shaggy, who find their way to the captain's quarters, where they find a picture of Redbeard, which Scooby draws on. And then, is this our first painting gag?
I think this might be our first painting gag. When the painting, he lifts up the paint, the
No.
the canvas painting.
No, it's not the first painting gag. Our favorite magician was the first painting gag.
Right.
Blue stone.
They Scooby paints over the eyes of the painting, and then the ghost lifts up the painting to have him behind it. It's great.
Yeah.
And then he moans like the zombie from the previous episode before starting to laugh.
Like, okay, why are you moaning?
Which leads Scooby and Shaggy to run away into the crew of Redbeard, which leads them to promptly faint, as Scooby and Shaggy like to do. Then we cut to the other trio sneaking aboard, and they get scared, and There's a great moment where Thelma and Daphne make jokes. Really bad Eliza level jokes.
Yeah, Eliza level jokes.
My jokes aren't all that bad.
But they both laugh, and then they hear another person laughing. And they say to Fred, our jokes weren't that funny. And Fred just turns to him and goes, I wasn't laughing. He was literally a few seconds away from being like, bitches, those jokes weren't funny at all. But they realise the laughing is coming from Redbeard, who they notice had just left a room. So they decide to go and investigate that room, where they find a bucket of ice-cold water and some dry ice, which Eliza will rant about at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But Redbeard then locks them in the room. We cut back...
To be honest, is not the best idea, because he has to get the dry ice sometime.
Well, they're heading back to their lair, so I assume he knows he's not going to need the ice for the rest of that evening. But yeah, we cut to Shaggy and Scooby being waking up, and Redbeard says his plans for them is as he puts his finger across his neck. So, unlike a few of the other villains where people will debate us, this time no protest. He's outright said, no, I'm killing you.
Yeah.
Unless you can do something for me.
He wants food, and this is where he gets suspicious. Like, if he's a pirate ghost, why does he want food? Look, I may be a ghost, but ghosts, unless they're poltergeists, do not eat. And then it leads to one of my favorite sequences of the episode where they make ghost pirate stew.
I find it funny, Sam, because you remember what you said literally 5 minutes, literally 5 seconds before this the cooking scene?
What?
You literally said out loud, what do ghosts even eat? Then we cut to them in the kitchen, and it's Shaggy is literally like, so what should we feed a ghost? And they start just putting random creepy shit into a stew.
They're like, oh yeah, ghosts like chains and spider webs and soap. And then we get confirmation that Shaggy rarely bathes.
I think he was meant to imply he doesn't eat soap, but yeah.
But they have all this, and then it's just like, I'm pretty sure ghosts wouldn't eat that. I wouldn't eat some of that, but, that's me.
I find it funny, because some of those things I actually get the logic behind. Chains, ghost swabs, dust, ash. That stuff is spooky and, I related to ghosts. So I get that. Why the fuck is that? What the fuck was the mindset behind soap? How does soap relate to ghost?
Well, it's because... Shut up.
1 second, I'm actually going to look something up.
Oh, it might be like a purifying thing for ghosts.
Necro,
Necro,
do you have any idea? Necro, are you here?
Hello?
Necro, do you have any idea why they would add soup to the ghost stew?
Soap.
Yeah, no, I don't fucking know. They're just putting random shit in there and hoping for the best.
Oh, speaking
Which
of...
is weird, because I'm pretty sure Shaggy and Scooby can cook.
Yeah, they can cook.
To be fair, I think they would. I think they can cook. They were like, well, a ghost wouldn't eat human food, so we need to figure out what a ghost would eat. So they need to try ghost.
Oh, there actually is a connection between soap and ghosts.
Really? Do tell.
During the Middle Ages, soap was blended with protective herbs like rosemary, sage, and thyme to ward off restless spirits.
Ah, neat.
But they end up getting well, I don't want to say tricked, but ordered to eat the stew themselves, making a bubbly getaway with the soap. That's the reason being, anyway.
The fact they use, we didn't mention it, but soap was also a plot point in the last episode as well.
Yeah.
With one of my
also, we mentioned it while we're going through this, but we also got to see them being attacked by a floating sword.
Oh yeah, they get chased by a ghost sword, which will come up later in the episode.
The gay blade, as they say it, and that's where one of the memes comes from.
But in the Witch episode, Thelma tries to figure out how to open a secret passageway. She pulls on a lantern, trips, lands on a spoon that throws soap to open a secret passageway. Earlier she said that she saw secret passageways in a movie. Fred says after her trip, Fred goes, "I've never seen it done that way in the movies." And Thelma says it must have been in a soap opera, which it's a dumb joke, but I love
that joke.
I love that joke. I love my soaps.
Right? The wordplay on Scooby-Doo can be on point a lot of the time. But yeah, Scooby and Shaggy run, and Shaggy they see Redbeard's crew, 2 guys, and Shaggy folds a paper into a pirate hat, makes his shadow like Redbeard, and uses his ventriloquist and whipping see throughout the season, as well as really good voice mimicry, to tell them that the other 2 ran the other direction.
As he says in this episode, this is one of his super Shaggy skills.
It's a superpower.
He does not have as many as Mr. T, but he does have some.
Well, I mean, he does also have access to Ultra Instinct as he gets later on.
But yeah.
Okay, that was a whole... That was mostly because of hypnotism, but yeah.
But then Scooby and Shaggy hide underneath a wash tub and start running around the ship until they accidentally run off the plank.
So we actually got to see somebody walk the plank in this episode. Apparently they were under a bucket.
And so they use the watch tub to get back on the ship.
Well, they don't get back on the ship. The ship starts driving away. But they see... Shaggy thinks Scooby sounds weird before realizing, oh, that's Thelma yelling out a window. And they agree they're gonna save their friends, which again more proves that Scooby and Shaggy are the epitome of what a coward is. Yes, they're scared, but they will fight that fear when is really important.
Also, it shows something else off. It's actually viewed in context of the previous episode. Velma is able to immediately identify Daphne's voice, even under like tape and cloth and bag and everything. But Shaggy can't identify anybody's voice.
He must be high.
Despite being the one who's good at voice mimicry. Which means that, yeah, just shows the level of intimacy closer to Daphne and Velma.
Look, he's too busy with Fred. But yeah, they chase, and there's a weird scene where, as they're rowing behind the boats, there's like, Scooby picks up like a fake shark fin. But I assume it's meant to be the pirates were using fake sharks to try and keep people away from Skull Island, but...
That's my theory.
Yeah, but it was just, it was just a weird nothing bit. And this is one of the first many times where they will use the name Skull Island.
Yep.
Scooby-Doo loves using that name.
And there's no King Kong here.
We've seen what happens when Scooby-Doo deals with 8 people. We don't want to go back there. You can't make me go back. I did my time. Yeah. And Redbeard chains up Daphne, Fred, and Thelma, and explains that by the end of the evening they will join his crew. Again, just blatantly, no, I'm killing these kids. But Fred, ever the MacGyver, gets them free with a lot of straw and gum.
It doesn't physics, because he somehow gets the straws to lift up the keys.
Which, yeah, the tensile strength of the straw would probably break under the weight of the key.
Plus,
that key is like iron.
Plus,
He MacGyver's way out.
Plus, I don't think you could slot them in that cleanly.
No, you'd have to do like a weaving method with the straw. Which would also make them stronger, but still.
But this is not. This is not.
It's not as bad as later.
Yeah, this is not the bad physics Neko wants to rant about. The straw moment. Yeah, that doesn't physics. It's not as bad as what you're going to talk about later.
Oh no, absolutely not.
But the trio get away, and Scooby and Shaggy find them with a pretty good jump scare moment of Shaggy actually put. Because a running joke, which has happened a few times, is the villains have put their hands over Shaggy's shoulder. Shaggy finally gets his payback by being the one to do that to someone else when he puts his hand over Filmer's shoulder to give her a fight. And they tell him to take that stupid pirate hat off his head. Which he does, and when they check it out, they find it's a ship manifest, dated tomorrow. Which actually gives this is one of the rare times we actually have the date of an episode. July, was it July or June?
I think it was July.
Let me look up the trivia section on the Wikipedia page.
Oh, January.
January. Yeah, so this episode officially takes place on January 6th.
9th.
January 9th. I assume January 9th, 1966. Is that one Scooby-Doo?
1969.
Yeah. I am terrible with dates. Every date should just be number 8 letter. And while checking out the cave, they find a treasure chest, which pops up. And it asks for the password, you swabs. Sadly, we don't know who did the voice for the treasure chest. At least that's not listed on the Wikipedia page. Oh, no, wait, I'm wrong. It is. Guess who did the voice? Do any of you guys recognize who did the voice?
Frank Welker.
It was Frank Welker. Which is actually good, because normally when Frank Welker does other voices, I can kind of tell. I couldn't with this one.
The true gag was the password, though.
Yeah.
Yum, 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 in a liverwurst a la mode.
Yep. No clue why that's the password, but it is.
My theory is one of the henchmen is probably the cook that made the sandwich for Shaggy in the Mummy episode.
But yeah, just saying with my Frank Welker bit, I mostly mean early Frank Welker, you can tell it. Later on in his career, Frank Welker becomes on par with Don Messick on how well he can do different voices. But then Frank Welker is the dude that's been doing this for goddamn 50 years at this point.
Yeah.
Like, Frank Welker is still doing Scooby-Doo today, and do you guys know how old he is? He's 80.
Yeah.
I am not jinxing it, but the moment we lose Frank Welker, it's going to be a tragic day for Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
But yeah, back away from the depressing subjects and to happy subjects. They go into the cave and they find all the pirate loot.
Or the booty, as we call it.
Sadly, my booty's across the ocean and I can't give it a hug.
I mean, that booty likes the booty.
And then we have the ghosts. I don't know why the gang is shocked to see the ghosts there. Because it's like, you're walking around their base. Why wouldn't they be there?
Yeah.
So the gang...
That's kind of a dumb moment.
So Redbeard orders the gate to be sealed. They seal it, and the last few minutes of the episode is mostly just chicanery. The Scooby and Shaggy get chased by the gay ghost blade. We find out the girls are actually pretty damn good at archery.
So is Fred.
To be fair, Fred's target was a lot easier to hit.
Yeah.
Fred was aiming for the ceiling, while the girls had to actually hit the backside of the criminals.
And meanwhile, it's time for physics get, destroyed.
Necro,
Yep.
my friend, how do Scooby and Shaggy capture Redbeard?
Okay, so they ride a jackhammer first of all.
Hey, no, an
Which-
electronic pogo stick.
They call it a pogo stick.
Yeah, then they realize it's jackhammer. Then they proceed to ride it away up the wall and along the ceiling.
Look!
A jackhammer, something that's supposed to be bouncing off the ground to propel them forward, is somehow staying on the ceiling.
They drove him. He drove them up a wall, and then they went in. They went in his pants.
Look, Shaggy beat the villain by jacking it. That's all we have to say.
They jacked a person in his pants with a pneumatic tool.
Yeah. Well, the last episode was very lesbian coded. This is very gay man coded.
Yeah.
But they capture Redbeard, and finally, despite 3 frigates being robbed over the past few weeks, finally the Coast Guard shows up. After a bunch of kids did their job for them.
Now, to be fair, the Coast Guard is superstitious, and they weren't just pirates; they were ghost pirates. Would you want to fight ghost pirates? I mean, I would, but I'm a ghost.
Yes, I would as well.
So you're saying the Coast Guard are superstitious, cowardly lot?
I mean, that's the military is.
And we reveal, the villain was C.L. Magnus, despite Shaggy being assured the butler did it. Which, while not an amazing red herring, at least it was a red herring.
Which, I want to talk a little bit about the butler really quickly. So you see, this is where I have to talk about my experience with the Gold Key comics again! You see, in the Scooby-Doo Gold Key comics, they actually reveal what was up with the butler.
What was up with the butler?
He was an insurance investigator! Trying to figure out what was going on with the missing ships of Magnus's, trying to figure out, because they thought that Magnus might have been involved with that.
Which he was.
And this is a dumb plot because, here's the thing. The amount of money that Magnus would have made by selling the goods from his own cargo ships is nowhere near the amount of money that he would have to pay back for the fuel, manpower, and everything else for all the ships that he absconded with, as well as for all the stuff that he stole from all the ships, as well as for the medical bills of all his workers that were on those ships if they got injured, the deductibles that he had to pay on the stolen goods from the people's cargo that he was transferring on his cargo ship. Because cargo ships generally don't own the cargo that they're transporting.
Here's what they didn't say this in the episode, but do you know what I think his plan actually was? I think his plan was actually they say he was on the verge of bankruptcy. I think that he was just planning to go,
Declare Chapter 8 bankruptcy, then sell the stuff in order to buy his business back?
Well, not even besides his back. I just assume he's going to sell his shit just to, have money to, It's gone with the money from the thing. That's what I think his actual overall plot was, but the episode didn't go deep into it because children's show.
Yeah. But still, his plot is not good. In the fact that if you read the comic, you know that his butler was actually an insurance investigator trying to undermine him and figure out what was going on.
So what you're saying is here's the thing. I said earlier that there's a good chance that his Blackbeard story was, fabricated. But if we believe it was true, that means this man comes from old money. And are you telling me a man inherited a family business from old money, ran it into the ground because he was an idiot and didn't know what the fuck he was doing?
Yes.
What? Never. Necro, would you believe anything like that could be possible?
No way, no.
But on the other thing I
Raise
want
an
to
idiot? No.
is the dry ice. You see, I went to a medical magnet school for high school and a year of pre-med when I was in college because I wanted to be a pharmacologist, aka somebody who works with chemistry. Now, here's a fun fact about dry ice. When you put it in water, when it creates a fog, that fog is incredibly toxic to people because that fog is carbon monoxide.
So Scooby ate carbon monoxide.
Which means everyone there should be freaking dead. Or the carbon dioxide. I always forget which one it is.
Either way, it's not good for you.
Yeah, either way, breathing in that much or ingesting it will kill you. Either way, they should be dead. Either Redbeard killed them all when they used the fog on the small little boat that they were on and they were all in that fog, or they died when Scooby did it again at the end of the episode.
Yeah. Scooby is okay though, because he's a Lovecraftian monster. Now we move on to the next episode. A Night of Fright is no delight.
Wait, we forgot to give our rankings.
Oh yeah, rankings. Okay, I'm giving this episode 5 out of 5. I'm sorry. But call me biased all you want. I love this episode.
I'm giving this episode a 4 out of 5. I love this episode, but there are a few things that hold it back for me.
Yeah,
I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 5.
yeah, I gave it a 4 too, mostly because of the fact that, like, so far Scooby-Doo has been mostly pretty grounded, and then this shit just goes full Looney Tunes.
Yeah, this episode decided to take physics behind a shed and pump it full of lead.
They still didn't explain the sword.
I think the biggest...
They explained... Sorry, go on, Sam.
I think the biggest strength of this episode is its humor and the actual villains. Like, you have some great designs and whatnot, but the villain plan makes no sense. The sword is never explained. It's just like, oh, it's a remote control sword. No. But, like, when you actually sit down and watch this episode, a lot of it I can just ignore because it's really fun. It's classic. It has these Scooby elements.
The question that character to me is, why aren't they just pirates?
That's a good question. Why don't they just say, well, like, why don't they just be pirates? But my theory is because they assume that the Coast Guard wouldn't have tried to go after ghosts.
Yeah,
still cargo going missing. They know they're actual pirates.
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
I still stand, like, just like how Charlie the Robot's inventor wanted to make a robot and was using his bullshit excuse as an excuse just to make a giant robot. I think Seal Magnus just wanted to be a ghost pirate and use this as an excuse.
You never know. I mean, at this point, it's really hard to say, but, like, everything about this episode is mostly great. Like, the humor, the character work, the overall, like, way they stop the villain, it's a lot of fun. But when you actually break down the villain's plans and stuff like that, it makes no sense. It's just not great.
Yeah.
And then also I stand Redbeard is probably the villain we've had so far since Bluestone with the best personality.
Yes.
Like, he's just fun to be around. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you, but you know, if you prove you're useful, then maybe I'll just let you be my lackey or something like that. Like, hey, you know, you can make me some ghost pirates too.
And then we move on to the next episode, which is
A Night of Fright is no delight. There's no there's no episode. There's no episode that we
we're
need.
moving on to Spooky Space Kook.
The reason why I'm here.
No, that episode never happened. Mandela effect. There was no episode called Space Kook.
Well,
I'm just hazing the bunny.
There is no space kook in Ba Sing Se, apparently.
But
I'll be
then,
honest, I'm going to be using this one because I think I actually fell asleep during the whole episode. I do not know why I became so tired earlier.
it's okay. I thought it was, but this episode starts with amazing sound design.
Yes.
I love the sound design. Neko, do you at least remember the sound design for the spaceship?
No.
So you get this nice flow as a mysterious spacecraft flies across the sky, and then this even deeper hum as it descends, followed by a whirring sound as this mysterious figure comes into view, and then this high pitched like
Well,
cackle.
before the cackle, you hear thumping of footsteps.
Yes, the sound design is so goddamn amazing.
The sound design in like this is one of my favorite episodes of Scooby Doo, like the entire show.
Here's the thing. Here's how good the sound design is. The Space Cook has like three stock animations, but you don't care. Like they use
You don't notice it because he's so terrifying, and he barely says anything because as the Space Cook, like he does not say a word, but it doesn't matter because it's just like that laugh, that presence, that the sound design of the space alien. You believe that this is actually something from outer space, and so like between the sound design, the visual design, the animation, for Hanna-Barbera, this is top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then we cut to the gang driving through middle of nowhere. Like this is clearly based around the moon landing and the Midwest's known for being the hot now, because this is very Midwest coded, United States coded. We're just farmland everywhere.
Not to mention, there's a lot of old military bases in the Midwest that after World War II went kind of defunct.
Yep.
And then during the Vietnam War were reactivated.
Which is going to be a plot point. But yeah, it's like this is even. But some people that may say this is very Roswell, New Mexico coded. This was way before Roswell ever happened.
No, Roswell happened before this episode.
Was it? I thought it was later that Roswell happened.
Nope, I'm pretty sure Roswell was 58. I'm gonna double check the year. 47. So yeah, 12.
Okay.
This would be 20. Roswell was 22 years before this.
Yeah, okay. But this is very Roswell as coded then, grasslands, creepy saucer.
Especially like the guy that comes out, the farmer, who's just like, oh, I don't want any reporters around here and stuff like that, because a lot of that happens around the Midwest, where like you have people who are farmers, they see something, they get all these like papers and whatnot, and it's like, they don't want to be seen as kooks.
Yep. Space kooks, some may say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people will talk about, fake, people that fake abduction stories, but it's like, if you listen to some of the more credible abduction stories out there, like, say, the Benny Bly Hill case, or a few others, the alien shit literally ruined their lives.
Yeah, it's a big thing, and it's like I watch a lot of unsolved mysteries, and 50% of unsolved mysteries is really interesting documentary style, like unsolved murders. And then there is the episode on aliens, and you see like people, like there are people who actually believe this stuff, and there's people who don't. But either way, they're seen as kooks, and it's like you get this is that like that dealing with that,
Which, to be fair, when we get to the traditional alien kook, that you don't get about in Scooby-Doo terms, which I believe you'll join us for when we cover this movie, but well, there's stuff for alien invasion. It's the pinnacle.
Oh, I definitely want to be for Alien Invasion, because that's a movie where they bang aliens.
But Lester,
Yeah.
But Lester is one of my favourite Scooby-Doo side characters, because he is the epitome of the eccentric kook who pretty much lost himself after the abduction in a way which makes him harmless but pitiable. Because there are people out there that do have these kinds of experiences and it does genuinely ruin their lives.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's like both those angles are great to have in a Scooby Doo, where you can actually like see how that affects people.
But back to the thing, the gang are driving through Midwest nowhere, and they run out of gas. Which is, I am shocked. What episode number is this? Give me a sec.
This would be episode number 15.
I'm shocked it took them 15 episodes to do the we're out of gas motif.
Yeah, especially since that becomes a kind of recurring Scooby-Doo thing.
Apparently, Fred just does not check his gas gauge ever.
Because normally it's too late for us to continue. So far, the normal go-to has been, it's too late for us to continue driving through the night. So this is the first time they've had gas. So they knock on the farmer's door, and he confuses them. And we can tell the show was not made by 4Kids. Because the dude just points a shotgun at him.
And now if there was 4Kids, that gun would be invisible.
Besides, we all know that, Farmer with Shotgun is the best character in any anime.
Sadly, Scooby-Doo is an anime yet. We have to wait till Zombie Island before it becomes an anime. But yeah, he doesn't believe that they're not reporters at first, but after a moment, he gets, he calms down, explains that some weirdness is going on, and they spot glowing footsteps that slowly disappear, which is creepy. But the farmer finally relents and gives them their fuel. Who's the farmer voiced by? The webpage doesn't say.
I can look it up in a second. Farmer is voiced by Cal Smith, who you might better know as...
Oh, he's Otis on the Andy Griffith Show.
He was also the original voice of Winnie the Pooh and Owl before Jim Cummings took over as the role.
Yeah, he's been in
You could hear it.
He's been in Scooby-Doo a few times now.
And related to my interests, in the original DuckTales, he was Flint Hart Glomgold and Gyro Gearloose.
So the lesser Glimgold, that's what you're saying.
He was the original Glomgold and the original Gyro.
Yep.
The lesser Glimgold. Not bad, lesser. Because you can't beat the reboot Glomgold.
All I do is win, win, win.
To be fair,
no matter
Reboot
what.
Glomgold is amazing.
Like, the reboot Glomgold you cannot beat.
How do you know it was me?
Cause it's always you.
And
it
it
always
will
will be.
Then we're rebooting Diving into DuckTales. We're watching all of it again.
I need to get them to watch the original DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, but it's going to take us some time because they have a kid now. So
Yuck, adulting. But yeah, but the farmer gives him some fuel because while he's a bit crotchety, which if you're continuously being harassed by reporters, understandable. He does seem to be an overall nice guy. And Necro, my good friend, you here?
Yes, I'm currently here.
Okay. You've just been informed there are aliens about. You've seen creepy glowing footprints. And you've been told there's UFOs in the sky. What do you decide to do once you get back into your car? A. Leave the area. B. Drive around saying you should look for the UFO.
Probably A.
Well, you're not Fred Jones, who decides they should drive around and see if they find the UFO.
I mean, Fred is he can afford it. I mean, he's rich.
So yeah.
Oliver Velma is rich.
Yep. But after driving around, they see the UFO in the sky, and it lands behind a nearby hill, which they follow to find an old abandoned army site. And they do what they do best. Split up.
Let's split up, gang.
Well, Scooby and Shaggy do say they want to stay, but there's a great moment where the gate opens by itself and Fred says, "It's just the wind, stop being a coward." more proof of Fred's, skeptic nature.
Yeah, like Velma at this point is believing that it's a ghost, but Fred is just like, that's just the wind.
To be fair, that's going to throw
Yep.
all of original Scooby-Doo, and all the way up until, literally, Mystery Incorporated is Fred's entire deal were three things. One, he was the gearhead. Two, he was kind of the leader. And three, he was the skeptic.
The fun thing is, I also love that Fred's name comes from an editor, because back when this show came out, editors didn't have the reputation they had, and they were actually respected. Because they actually did their job. They did their job of, I'm going to manage this shit and not do as I say and make your show worse. Yeah. But yeah, as they before they split up, they say that Scooby and Shaggy say they want to stay, and they're like, sure, you can stay around here by yourselves. And then they hear the cackling of the Space Ghost and say, maybe it's best they do go around and search. And I will say it now, Domestic has done many great sounds throughout this show so far. The Space Kook laugh is his magnum opus.
Yes.
Like, the Space Coop has this menace to him, where it's not even just the lighting, because even when he's not speaking, he's lit menacingly to the point where it's just like, oh, really great. The laugh, the lighting when he lights up when he laughs, like all these different things. But
there's also the strange effect around when he moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally think they purposely messed up his animation cycle so it looked off. Like, it was jittery.
Yeah. It just, it messes with you, but also, when he's standing behind them and, just standing there menacingly, he still has presence, and that's something that a lot of, Scooby-Doo villains don't have. There's some of the best ones do, but this is one of my favorite Scooby-Doo villains.
So before the gang, while the gang splits up, they check. The girls and Fred check a engineering. I'm not sure what that place was. I think it was an engineering hangar.
Probably a machinist shop at the base.
Yeah. Which Fred then gets grabbed by his ass by a hook and lifted into the air.
And he's not miffed by this. I think he's used to it.
Yeah. And we get something fun, where this show remembers, just because you're intelligent doesn't mean you know everything, and we get to see Thelma being like, no, heavy machinery. Thelma is smart, but this is back when Thelma was realistically smart. So, when asked to use heavy machinery, she's like, I'm smart, but that's not, what am I, she's book smart. That doesn't mean, she's gonna know how to use heavy machinery smart.
Yeah.
Daphne also obviously doesn't know how to use heavy machinery. So they asked them to go find Shaggy, because
Shaggy does know how to use machinery.
yeah, as we've seen in multiple episodes.
Because Shaggy is the jack of all trades.
Then we cut to Shaggy and Scooby being scared as they walk around the base, and Shaggy conveniently has a bag of nuts. He puts some nuts in his hand and says to Scooby could take one or two, but Scooby does what he always does.
Takes more.
Takes the entire hand.
That's a lot of nuts!
So Shaggy says, fine, but I bet you can't do it now, and he just throws the rest of the nuts into the air. But the Space Cook is a good pal. He catches them for Scooby and offers them to him. And then laughs in Scooby's face in a really great shot.
Yeah.
It's one of the creepiest shots. You don't even see it coming. Then it goes up to him. And he's like,
leading the boys to run. And they run to a mess hall. And Shaggy says how it's weird. He didn't expect the military would have buildings for mess. Indicating that Shaggy definitely has no idea about military life. Which, giving a plot point for Mystery Incorporated is even funnier. But yeah, they go in and they figure out pretty fast, wait, mess hall means kitchen.
And so they're actually smart for once. They figure out that they find a clue.
Scooby finds, while looking for food, Scooby finds actual food in the fridge. And eats it before Shaggy can find out. Because Scooby...
But Shaggy reasons, hey, why would a ghost need to have ham and chicken around?
That is just silly.
Why does a ghost need a spaceship?
Woo ha 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 ha.
Yep. So at that point then, the girls find Shaggy and Scooby and they get Fred down. And they begin hearing a weird noise. And they follow it to a old abandoned shed. Shaggy tries to look inside and sees Scooby inside. Oh wait, no, the window is just really dirty and it's just Scooby's reflection. Which was a great joke.
I think one of the jokes you kind of glossed over was them going to the hangar with all the parachutes and them both
I thought that
getting
happened.
scared.
I thought that happened next.
No, not before they go to get Fred.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like the first Scooby sees Shaggy in the parachute and gets scared, goes, and then hides under a parachute where Shaggy's like, "Oh my God, you're a ghost! You're a ghost! You're a ghost!"
Good going, yeah.
Spider-Man meme.
Sorry, I thought that happened later. We watched 4 episodes of Scooby-Doo. A lot of it kind of jumbled in my head. The key joke happened afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I love the key joke.
Where Shaggy and Scooby lock themselves in a room. Shaggy says to Scooby, "Here, get rid of this," and Scooby throws the key out the window. The space cook opens the door the other side. Because the door is an outward opening door, not an inward opening door. Panicking, they go, "Oh crap, we locked ourselves in. Scooby, we need the key." They jump out the window, grab the key, jump back inside the room, unlock the door, then leave.
Which just goes to show that when these two are not scared, they can be intelligent, but when they are frightened, they are dumb as fuck.
Honestly,
And it's like, I get it. It's completely relatable, but also this is probably one of the funniest episodes of Scooby-Doo ever.
it's both funniest and scariest, which it's such a good mix. If the witch episode had great atmosphere, and the ghost ship had great comedy, this episode has a great mix.
Yes.
Because the old abandoned, I think the fact that the old abandoned airbase is just a very unique looking setting, which is helps it a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but after the generator, the gang split up again, and Shaggy and Scooby get scared by the space kook, and they run into an abandoned airplane, quickly doing another quick shade, and they say, "Don't move," as they sit in the pirate seats of an old abandoning airplane, where the space cook walks over. Scooby is holding his breath as the space cook lowers the chair and laughs in Scooby's face, and Scooby just agrees and panics. Then Shaggy gives a brilliant idea and pulls on a string to open up and blows the airbags.
Meanwhile, Fred, Velma, and Daphne find a newspaper that has glowing thumbprints.
As we find the space cook has been reading about themselves in the newspaper. Which, to be fair, I would also do. And then after that, the gang find a jeep which is warm and running despite having broken tires.
It's weird, at least.
Yeah. When they look under, they actually see the jeep actually has. The jeep then drives off on its own with the broken tires. But when they check underneath the jeep, they see it has 4 smaller tires hidden underneath to make it look like it's, unoperable. So obviously it's being controlled remotely. Because that's Scooby-Doo's answer for 90% of the stuff it needs to explain. Remote controls, how do they work? And then, an army of space cooks appear.
which is just a great scene. Just watching all the different hangars open up in their space kook after space kook after space kook,
Who will begin laughing.
which causes Scooby and Shaggy to run up into the control tower.
Where they find the next clue. Which we don't actually get shown until later. Until the explanation. But they realize they need to have the gang show up. So, they play a blowhorn into the speakers of the base.
Which informs the gang of where they are, but also tells
The space kook.
the space kook. Who runs as if empowered by the feet of 1,000 Roman soldiers?
But then we get something unique. The farmer shows up with the police before they capture the criminal. Which honestly is something very unique for especially this era for Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
And the game doesn't even capture the criminal. When the space cook sees a policeman has shown up, he runs away into a wind tunnel. Where one of Sen's favourite scenes happen. Well, at least I believe Sen said this was one of her favourite scenes.
I really like this scene. I like it. You know, I remember it as a kid where, like, you know, he's stuck into a wind tunnel and you have this, like, all of his stuff being ripped off as you go in. But also, I really like this because this is kind of like the inverse of the first episode we talked about today, where, like, oh yeah, there's only 2 people it could have been. Well, in this one, it's none of the characters that we knew, but they explain what it is and how it could be. They kind of invert the trope there and have like they also don't have him being captured. They don't have him like that. He stops himself, and it's one of those things where, like, it's a memorable ending.
Yeah, he accidentally fucks. He sees the police, and being a local cook as he is, f's up, gets himself caught, and then we find out that it's. And again, I like that the farmer that we meet at the beginning, who is technically a red herring because it could be him to begin with. But no, when he shows up with the police, he's like, I saw you kids were fucking around in this old abandoned air thing, and I was like, yeah, I should probably call the police to make sure those kids are okay. Which is great. It's like, yeah, the farmer starts out in this episode rather rickety because he's stressed from all the reporters. But no, he's like, no, those kids are doing something stupid. I should be the adult in the room. And he explains the space cook is his neighbor, who we find out that his goal was, he found out because of the Vietnam War, the military was planning to reopen this base. And so he was scaring away his neighbors so he could sell the land to the military for cheap.
Yep. Even though that probably wouldn't even happen because the military would probably just claim an eminent domain and take the farmhouses.
I mean, to be fair, the military will normally... Like, that's normally how it goes because most people don't want to sell their land. And the military is bullshit. But normally they at least make an offer first to appear reasonable. So the fact that he was trying to scare them away before the US would make it their first offer, because he probably knows that, you know, the US military doesn't ask twice.
Yeah. Well, technically they do ask twice. It's the second time they're asking, they're pointing a gun at you.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is our first, I think this is our first real estate scheme. And it won't be the last.
First real estate scheme, which, I have a problem with that because that winds up becoming a major thing in the Scooby-Doo direct-to-TV movies. Way too often.
What about animals is real?
No, the mid-2000s to 2010s direct DVD movies for Scooby-Doo, almost all the villain plots are real estate schemes.
Yeah, honestly, those movies are to blame for the meme that all Scooby-Doo villains are real estate agents. But again, this is the first time it's happened in the original show.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the easiest explanation for why somebody would want to scare people out from a location.
Yeah.
But all in all, I have to say this is a great episode, and I'm giving this a 5 out of 5 Scooby Snack.
5 out of 5 as well.
I'm getting it 5 out of 5. Like, sound design, visuals, lighting, atmosphere, the way that it turns tropes from Scooby-Doo on its head, in just like, what are we, like 16 episodes in, and it still manages to keep things fresh.
Yep.
So like, this is one of those things that, like, everything about this episode is memorable and it's stuck with me to this day. I can barely remember the guy from the racist episode that you guys covered, that with the dog nappers, but everything about this episode I remember. And like the villain, the fact that it's like, you know, it's not something you expect. The farmer just having like the weird space landing, the sounds, the gags, the joke. These are some of the best gags in the entire series. And the key gag to me is what cements it. This is Scooby-Doo in a nutshell. If you need to show somebody Scooby-Doo, you show them this episode.
Yep. I'm also giving it 5 out of 5. It's great. Neko, what does your sleep-deprived brain tell you from what you softly remember? If you want to give any ranking whatsoever.
Oh, yeah, so I was kind of fell asleep for most of this episode, so I can't really give an opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay, man.
I don't know what's up, but yeah.
We're sending you good energy.
Yeah.
We appreciate you're here
Yeah,
anyway.
will be really.
Yeah. We still appreciate that you're here for us no matter what. Because it's just fun to talk to you.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Sorry about too much.
No problem.
Sorry about much this week.
Well, next week's episode... not next week, next time's episode is going to be a shorter, more relaxed episode, so...
Because we're just going to be doing one episode and then covering the season overall.
But now for our next episode. Who wants to talk about the Confederacy?
No one.
Who wants to shit on the Confederacy?
Yes!
The next episode is A Night of Fright is No Delight, which is what a galloping ghost should have been called. And this episode should have been called A Galloping of Gathering Ghosts.
Agreed.
And this episode starts on a dark and stormy night with the gang not in the Mystery Machine for once, but on a boat.
Because we're doing another version of And Then There Were None. For those who don't know, And Then There Were None is Agatha... Was it Agatha Christie?
Yes.
Is Agatha Christie's one of her masterworks. And granted, the title has changed twice over time. You may remember it as something else, but it's a bunch of people getting together on an island, trying to get an inheritance, and all of them start to die one by one. For those who don't know the other titles, there was also And Then There Were None was originally 10 little N-words, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was 10 little the Native American slur. So and Then There Were None is the actual title now. But it's basically a murder mystery on an island, and it's one of my favorite Agatha Christie novels.
I've never read the book myself, but I did watch a video go over, pretty much someone reading it chapter by chapter to try and guess the twist before the end.
It's one of those novels that, like, you can try to guess the twist, but it's so well told that even if you can see some of the things in place, you won't get it until the very end, and it's a classic. And this one
in the video I watched the cover, the dude guessed who the killer was, but their overall motive and execution was a bit, they didn't get the formula of an education by the end.
It's more of a how done it too, because like you can kind of see who did it, but like you're trying to figure out like how did this happen,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that works really well for Scooby-Doo, and I like that they're working with it. Although I do have some small problems with the episode. I mean, Confederacy, but yeah.
But here's the last little fun trivia note before we get into the part of the episode. This was the first Scooby-Doo episode to air in the 1970s. Every other episode until now was in the 1960s.
60s.
Yeah. But now Scooby's hit the 70s, baby. But yeah, the gang is on a boat as they are explaining they read the newspaper to say a crazy old crackpot has left his fortune to 4 of his cousins and 1 dog called Scooby-Doo, who saved his life from drowning in a fish pond. Good.
Yep, his name was Colonel Sanders, and he's finger looking good.
Colonel Sanders, which I guess they're making fun of the Confederacy. They called him very eccentric.
Yeah.
Basically says, okay, I want 5 of you on the island. This place is haunted. If you can stay the night, then you get the fortune, split it in 5 ways. But if not, it's going to the person who stays.
Yep. And yeah, it is a lawyer introducing this concept. A Mr. Creep. Is it Creeps or Creep? I can't recall if it's Creeps or Crawls.
Mr. Creeps and Mr. Crawls.
Yeah. But Mr. Crawls says Mr. Crawls is not showing up. It's just Mr. Creeps on the island, according to Mr. Creeps, and he says he introduces us to all the recipients. Nephew Norble. No relation to Shaggy. Cousin Stickler.
Cousin Simple and sweet cousin Malahide.
Thank you. Sorry, I was reading the names through the things, but Marble and the other 2 don't speak, so they weren't on the casting list. The only cousin that really speaks is Cousin Stickley, and it's just Casey Kasem doing a southern accent.
It is really funny because you can tell it's Casey Kasem, especially when he speaks right next to Shaggy, and it's just him doing the southern accent. But it's funny. Like it's funny.
And it's also literally the same voice he uses for Colonel Beauregard when they play the record, because to explain his will and testament, he recorded it on a final record. As you know, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he explains, as Sen said, stay here the night, get the money, or don't. And so they all agree to go to bed. They agree to go to bed. Scooby is going to get a bath, and then as Scooby's taking a bath, first his and Shaggy's nightwear just looks really comfortable. I know what was
Yeah.
He has 4 Scooby slippers.
And but while in the bath, one, he brushes his teeth with soap, which is just no. Bad Scooby.
Ugh.
2,
Yeah.
we get an amazing shot of the side of the bath open, and we just see the shadow of the. We don't see the ghost in full yet for the first half of the episode, which is a great thing, because it helps
You
the
know,
feel.
piece of it, and it's such a great design.
It is such a great design that this is the most used design of any Scooby-Doo villain.
And after he looks at Scooby-Doo to confirm he's in the bath, he shuts up the thing, and the wall opens, and Scooby slides down a chute into the basement, landing in coal, where he sees the phantom shadow laughing, leading to Scooby to run the fuck away. and explains to the others what he saw.
Who immediately don't believe him.
Yep.
Now, to be fair, he says, "Oh, the bathtub went out the wall and stuff like that," and they clearly see that the water is going down the drain and the bathtub is bolted to the floor. But little do they know that there's a series of like levers and stuff inside this house.
Yep. Because it was made by a madman. Who. Yep. And then they all hear yelling where they find Cousin Norval's disappeared with a message on the glass. The message was really well written. Can I find it?
I can read it.
Alright.
The first is gone, the rest will go. Unless you leave the island and row, row, row.
Row, fight the power.
Like the Phantom, find the Phantom Shadow, who is very. We talked before about theatrics, and God, the Phantom Shadow is great for. It's good with its theatrics. I love a theatric Scooby-Doo villain.
Same.
So the gang do what they always do. Split up. Shaggy and Thelma and Scooby head off. Also, another great turn ghost before we go to that. Another great ghosty. Cousin Simply, the first one to disappear. Disappears exactly the stroke of midnight. Very good haunted house trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they do a great job of showing like, okay, this is where everyone is. They, there are secret passageways to these rooms and it's creepy stuff. And as soon as they get to the rooms, they just see their nightcaps.
No, wait. I was talking about how this done. First, they try something unique. They try to trap the ghost before splitting up with a dummy of Scooby-Doo that looks nothing like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but then because Scooby and Shaggy were waiting on the drain pipe and the ghost starts rattling the drain pipe and Velma comes up to help them, the three of them wind up separated from the others as they swing down into a cave.
Completely unharmed.
Again, physics. It doesn't matter here in Scooby-Doo. But in the cave, they find footprints. And they question, why would a ghost leave footprints?
They also find a duck wearing Confederate uniform.
Oh, I was going to get
Was
to
it
that.
good? Honked.
Yeah, they find a ton of Confederate propaganda, flags, cannonballs, uniforms. They say Civil War propaganda, but it's Confederacy.
Yeah.
There is no Union, there is no Union,
Memorabilia.
there.
It's nothing but Confederate shit.
And you can see him in the painting where he's wearing his Confederate war uniform.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, well done, good job, Scooby-Doo, for being moral and saving a man's life. You should have let him drown. Yep. But then they are chased around into an elevator by a duck. But once the duck is Scooby gets with the duck, they take the elevator they found up, and it leads them directly into Cousin Stickley's room. Showing how, one of the ways the ghost is getting around so fast. At that point,
It's a man.
Yeah. At that point, the gang all meet up and they realize that all of the heirs but Scooby-Doo are now missing. And Shaggy says that this is really creepy and all they're missing is a scary organ.
Which the scary organ starts playing.
Which was great comedic timing. And these episodes, there's not been a bad joke. None of these episodes have had bad jokes so far. When they find the organ, there is a message written on the organ.
Eat the organ and watch the floor.
The gang is initially confused about this until one of them realizes, I believe it was Thelma Jesus, feed doesn't mean feed in the traditional sense, it's music notes.
But before that, they were almost a Jill sandwich.
Yeah, there was a Resident Evil level trap there.
Oh yeah, the Resident Evil trap. Yeah. Of course, Confederacy soldiers set up a Resident Evil trap in his mansion. Because they
But
play,
once they do,
because they play the wrong notes and it triggers the trap.
yep. But once they do play the correct notes, a trap door opens and they find a ghost.
And
Two ghosts.
no, before that, they find coffins.
Yes.
And inside the coffins, they find the corpses of all 4 heirs. And one coffin that is uniquely dog-shaped.
So yeah, like it pretty much follows the beats of "and then there were none" right there.
But
But
unlike if I recall the end of the Unbeatable None, it ends with the final person hanging themselves. Luckily, Scooby doesn't hang himself here.
As they all try to run away from the ghost, Scooby, is unconscious. And they end up losing Scooby because they ram him right into a crossbeam.
Yep. But they also now realize that that's not a shadow phantom. It's a green ghost, and there's 2 of them.
Which raises questions. Now, I want to say something right off the bat, because my initial theory was, I thought that all of the heirs had pooled together and worked together to pretend to be ghosts at different times. That's not what happened, but I think that's, that would be very Agatha Christie the thing. But what we actually got is even better.
And to be fair, this episode does have a plethora of red herrings, which is good.
Yeah, it has a lot of really great red herrings. I also do want to point out the gag. One of my favorite gags they do with the 2 ghosts. There's a phone ring. Velma picks it up and says, "It's for you," and the ghost answers the phone, and I'm like, "What is a scream?"
There's a lot of great ghosts that they're all running away trying to escape the ghosts.
But
And including Scooby and Shaggy dressing up again in Puritan clothing.
Scooby and drag. But do you remember how they woke Scooby up from fainting?
Yes, with a Scooby snack again.
Yep.
Giving superpowers to the Scooby snacks.
Hell, we see that with the Ghost episode where Shaggy and Scooby can both get superpowers through snacks because they eat Scooby snacks and break a fucking winning crate open.
Yep.
With their bare heads.
The set of 4 episodes gave the Scooby snacks their superpowers.
But yeah, there's a chase scene, and then again, actually, there's a lot of great jokes. There's the phone joke, the tandem bike joke.
Oh yeah, the tandem bike. I forgot about that. It's like we gotta keep up with they're getting on us, and then it pans out to see one ghost, and then another ghost. So there's like a 4 ghost bicycle.
This episode's just so good with jokes. And then Scooby and Shaggy use a wine rack as pop guns in order to hit the ghost numerous times.
Like, this is just this is probably one of the funniest episodes of this set of blocks. Like, it's just a gag a minute, and nothing is dull. Just so much fun with that.
After they finally get away from the ghost, they meet up and find Shaggy has green paint on his hand. From when green paint, yeah. From when he fired wine at the ghosts.
No, when he was dancing with the ghosts.
That's when we were dancing.
He fired wine earlier, yeah. And this gives Fred an idea, and they set up a trap. That Fred decides him, Thelma, and Daphne will be the bait.
And now we get a reason why they don't have this functionality all the time.
Because Fred, Velma, and Daphne are terrible at being bait, and Scooby and Shaggy are terrible at setting off the trap.
Yep.
Because both go incredibly wrong, and what's it's initially a simple trap where they trap in a laundry machine turns into a flying propeller-powered laundry machine that is chasing the ghosts. And another great gag where It's chasing the ghost into the elevator, and then the elevator gets up, and the ghost get out of the elevator with the thing still chasing them.
It is so good.
Yeah.
It's actually a good. It's actually a good example of a Scooby-Doo chase sequence.
Yep. Because again, you don't need logic in the chase sequence. You need entertainment. Like that in bad Scooby-Doo chase sequences, you would question the elevator scene, but when you're so entertained by everything going on, you don't care. Yep. And they capture it to unmask them as the lawyers, creeps, and crawls. Which, to be fair, top tier names for the bad guys.
But their plan actually makes sense this time. And I think out of all of the plans, this one makes the most sense. It's because they're trying to scare everyone out of the mansion so they get the money from the will.
And
Because no one's there, they get the money.
And they find out, and you find out that the corpses in the basement were actually just dummies put in the coffin to scare Scooby. And it turned out the rest of the family just fucked off. They got scared away.
And then you get the greatest twist of this episode. When Scooby goes to open the trunk full of money, and it's Confederate bills.
Yep, it's worthless.
Which you can assume then the general wasted all his fortune on the Confederacy merchantabilia he owned.
However, then we get an appearance of, and we get the second appearance of actual spooky shit. Like, we already had a real monster before, but this time we get an actual haunted floating bone that Scooby bites down on.
Because it's a bone, Scooby doesn't care.
But, like, not only do we have a creepy design, one of the best designed Scooby villains, but we have, like, actual ghosts, we get creepy stuff, we got a haunted house, and it really plays into the haunted house angle where everything's falling apart, and you can see this guy squandered his money buying the Confederate stuff. And so it's like, everything in this makes so much sense, you know?
And it makes sense when Crawl starts returning in a later movie. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it is a great 5 out of 5. Once again, sorry, I have to get this is peak Scooby-Doo mystery-wise. This is a great Scooby-Doo mystery.
I also have to give this a 5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5. It's fantastic in just about every way, but it does have too much to do with the Confederacy, and it has, unfortunately, what is it? Scooby-Doo and the Brew Brothers also brings Uncle Beauregard or whatever in, and there's Confederate stuff there too. So it just brings this idea that, like, Scooby is related to the Confederacy, unfortunately. However, with that being said, everything else is so good, I can't fault it too much.
And Neko, I assume your rating is a Scooby-Doo sleep mask out of 5?
Yeah, sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, Necro kind of slept through the last 2 episodes while we were watching them.
I don't know why I suddenly became so fucking tired
No problem, man.
today.
We
It's
don't
like I
know.
was fine, and then suddenly got the energy just gone.
You,
I don't
It's
know
okay,
why.
I fill in for you.
yeah, you were here for the important stuff. The gay ghost blade.
Mhm.
And the jackhammer.
And the moment that cannot be explained as not being gay.
Yeah.
Twitch, all in all, this set of episodes, we didn't have an episode below, like, 3 from any of us.
But
No,
then,
Yeah, there's
fun.
that episode in the bunch, and
But-
even the stuff that I said, like, I had to critically be like, okay, a little bit less. There's still nothing that I would out and out say is bad.
now there is one other thing I want to talk about, because I probably will ask us not to cover this when it gets to it, but it does involve a man named Jim Krieg. He is I don't want to insult this man, but he is responsible for many of the worst parts of modern Scooby-Doo. Mostly because of his hatred of having actual supernatural and haunted stuff in Scooby-Doo. But yet, despite his hatred of it, of real supernatural stuff happening in Scooby-Doo, He was also the head of a particular crossover. A crossover that uses this episode. Scooby-Doo meets Supernatural.
Huh.
The plot of that Supernatural episode is the two brothers from I've not watched Supernatural, so I forget their names. They get trapped.
Dean
Dean and
Winchester.
Sam.
Yeah.
Dean and Sam Winchester.
They end up trapped in a Scooby-Doo episode. And the episode they get trapped in? This episode. But they bring in a real ghost, and there's an entire moment where when the gang finds out there's a real ghost, they all have breakdowns. Because Jim Creed's mindset is the gang's supernatural fight should all be pure, and it should always be a man in the mask because,
Even though there is a ghost bone in this episode.
And we've already seen other supernatural stuff in previous episodes.
again,
Like,
Jim Creed...
try to explain the Beyblade.
Again, Jim Krieg, I am not insulting him as a person, I don't know him, but there is a lot of things in modern there are a lot of modern Scooby-Doo projects people hate that is directly due to his mandates. And yeah, but because we had to talk about this, I don't care for Supernatural, and we were probably never going to cover that crossover episode fully. So since this is the episode it takes, it uses as a base, I thought now would be a good time to say we know of it, and from I watched it but I didn't care for it. From my understanding from both Supernatural and Scooby-Doo fans who like Supernatural, it's an overall enjoyable crossover. But some people like me take the fact the gang has a breakdown when confronted with real Supernatural stuff and just don't like that.
The only one who should probably have a breakdown when confronted with actual supernatural stuff is Fred, because Velma is a person who is willing to believe. Daphne does believe, and Scooby and Shaggy would be too afraid either way.
Yeah,
And to be fair, in every movie where they actually see supernatural stuff in the Scooby movies, we see them react to it. They don't break down.
Yeah, and having Daphne say shit like, wait, if ghosts are real, it's heaven and hell you, and it was clearly Jim being like, see, this is why the gang shouldn't deal with supernatural stuff. And it was just like, again, from my understanding, it's a well-written episode, but from the parts I've seen, it's like, no, this is more Krieg's bullshit. I believe his name is Jim Krieg. If I'm wrong about that,
yeah. It's Jim Krieg.
His most infamous thing he's known for is he's responsible for the Return to Zombie Island and 13 Ghost movies.
Which aren't very good from what I hear.
They are not good.
The issue with both of them is their standalone premises are good, but bolting them to better projects. Like, the idea of Return to Zombie Island, the gang working on a mockumentary style movie, could work for a fun Scooby-Doo movie. Having it be part of Zombie Island, done.
But, like, we know that the zombies were real in Zombie Island, and the ghosts were real in 13 Ghosts, and from what I understand, they retcon that.
They don't retcon it. They, try to have, they claim, they have, both times they have Thelma being the one who is skeptical about it, which is our character. And they have the end with her being like, oh, here's a really obviously not correct explanation. So they leave it up in the air of, was it real? Wasn't it real? No, we know it was real.
And unfortunately, they bring back my most hated character in all of Scooby-Doo.
I will give this here. Flim Flam is a lot better in the movie.
He is, but I still hate him.
But yeah, I just wanted to cover Scooby Natural because, again, the same way Eliza said she would not be on this podcast if we covered Thelma, the Scooby Natural crossover is my hardline of, no, I don't want to cover this.
Yeah.
Necro's hardline is Scooby-Doo to get a clue, but we're vetoing him on that. Because we have to watch the show.
watch everything. I don't have a hard line. I'm still gonna hate it.
Yeah, overall, these were great episodes. Like, this batch of Scooby-Doo is probably peak season 1.
Oh yeah.
This is the strongest block of the season, and it shows the strength of these characters so much.
It basically, the first half of the season is kind of got a lot of stumbling blocks because they're trying to find their lane. But after you get past episode 8, they all kind of start becoming good.
Sadly, it ends not with a whimper because the next episode we'll be covering isn't really bad. But the Snow Ghost episode is probably one of the weaker episodes from what I remember.
Is that the one with like the timeshare presentation ghost?
No, it's a dual thief. This is probably from what I remember of this episode, this is probably the most incompetent ghost we've had since the 8th. No. Like, literally, if I do remember this episode correctly, the villain would have won just by not being a ghost. It's literally, the only reason they get discovered is because, like, if he had not dressed up as a snow ghost, the gang would have come to his place, had their holiday, and left. The only reason that they begin snooping around is because he dressed up as a ghost to frighten them.
Yeah, and there's actually another fun thing about the episode of Snow Ghost. They actually don't tell you where it takes place in that episode.
Yeah. And we actually also, and it's another episode where we learn there is a supernatural creature. Because when we meet a side character, we never get an explanation for the creature he meets in his backstory. But that will that'll be in 2 weeks.
The next episode takes place on the Canada-U.S. border in Minnesota.
Hey, it's Minnesota!
Well, say goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone!
Bye, thanks for having me on.
No problem. By the way, Sen, you joining this podcast, you did contractually sign the subpoena that says Turtles win the land war.
No, I didn't. Turtles cheated. They put on mech limbs, and they suck in Crash Bandicoot, so therefore they suck.
It's not my fault you didn't read the contract before you signed.
I didn't sign anything.
That's what you think. Goodbye, everyone. Say night. Say bye, Necro.
Bye, everyone!
Bye.
Necro, Sleepy Man.
Yes.
Say goodbye to the lovely people
Bye-bye.
that watch this.